This is XLDM. That music was open source, by the way. So don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about cease and desisting me or whatever. I'm not litigating on this point.
Dream of it.
Who's here?
It's David.
Hi, David.
Hey. I just had to pop on because I'd rather do this than do work.
Good.
Is this just a solo thing though?
Yeah, of course. I'm just I gotta work out now how to get you coming through the speakers now.
I can just do text chat too if that's easier.
No, I like having you here.
Okay. I gotta get a couple of things set up because I just got home, so I just gotta get my mic set up and everything.
Right. Okay. No bother. No bother.
So you might hear me rustling around a little bit.
It's fine.
My cat in the back.
Speaker, synaptics, audio, done. Yeah, everything on my computer should be coming through. That. Okay. So.
All right. Maybe my sound will come through now.
Can you check by watching the stream for me?
Yes. Just a second.
It's no rush. I'm gonna be here till 5:30. So you don't have to stay the whole time, but I cannot do any more reading today. I just feel like I've been reading for 100 hours this week or something. Unbelievable. Okay, good. Well, I'm making a wee cup of coffee here, so I'm gonna put the.
Okay, my sound is working.
Your sound is working.
Yep.
So
I can hear myself through there.
Amazing.
Which is always good.
Yeah, good. I just need to put another coffee on for Lucy.
No worries. Oh, hi, Lucy.
Hello.
I didn't realize you're still at school.
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
really...
right. She's got to work there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we spend all our time together.
I was at school earlier today and I got a $35 ticket.
Oh.
That's always fun. So I'm gonna be drowning my sorrows tonight in that.
You drinking in bed tonight, David?
Or somewhere. Somewhere that has wherever that is. Just about and I just read Foucault too, and I'm like, this is what Foucault was talking about. Like, I can't even park in a prohibited parking lot without somebody giving me a fine.
I know. This is just...
It was my fault, but still.
Why? Because you're not disciplined.
I'm not disciplined. Therefore, I need to be punished.
Oh, Daddy.
That's basically what he was talking about.
Yeah, totally. Right. Let's see. That's on. A little bit of milk in my coffee. Water. And that's all I need. Alright. So, let's kick this off with land acknowledgement.
Do you want me to pull it up?
No, I've got it.
Okay, awesome.
We acknowledge that in Milwaukee, we live and work on traditional Potawatomi, Ho-Chunk, and Menominee homelands along the southwest shores of Michigami, part of America's largest system of freshwater lakes, where the Milwaukee, Menominee, and Kinnickinnic rivers meet, and the people of Wisconsin's sovereign Anishinaabe, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Oneida, and Mohican nations remain present. Okay. So, no doctors and DMs today. So I figured I would just use the time anyway because I can't find the time to program. And this is more of like a planning, conceptual, programming, all-in-one kind of thing. Let's move this up here. This is actually... So, I don't want to dazzle you too much, David, but this is actually something I write on here. So, let's start with my basic output, right, that I want today. So, the title of the stream is HP and Mana are redundant. Because in my... Let me see if I can... We should get up. My character sheet here. Right, so I got a character sheet and it's loading. Okay, so this is the front page of a character sheet for my D&D homebrew. And basically we have characters having hit points and mana points and scores for strength, dexterity, wisdom, intelligence, constitution, charisma, psyche, and luck. And HP is constitution multiplied by 3, and mana, depending on your mana class, is a certain other score multiplied by 3 as well. And I just sort of realized that, well, I have various mechanisms for hit points and for mana and stuff, but they're redundant. And if I actually folded all of that hit points and mana points into the scores, right, then, you know what, it would actually might be a much more intense game. One of the things I'm responding to is skill point inflation, which is inherent in my system just now. So we see here this character has straight 19s and 18s, right, across all scores. And that's because I reward my players with experience points, And what that is usually a dice, so 1d4 or 1d6 points that they can add into whatever scores they want, right? That's fine until people max out all their scores, because then it means that when I asked them to do skill rolls, like a wisdom check, for example, would entail rolling a d20 and trying to get under your wisdom score. So the only way that they can fail that is by rolling a 19, and on some of them they can't fail at all. And I currently have no mechanic for taking away scores permanently. I have 2 temporary ones. So you'll see here fatigue, and also dexterity here is 14 and underneath it's 19. That's because this character is wearing plate mail armor, which as you can see here, dexterity -5. So I do have some ways to do it, but I figured if I could take away hit points and mana, which are redundant, right, and fold those into where they come from, which is these scores, right, then maybe I could have a much more dynamic game where instead of the goal being to max your scores, which inevitably gives an end point to a character, right? Because you max out, it's no longer fun because there's no inherent risk to anything that you do. If instead that's also the site where you take damage and other things, then the aim of the game is to balance your character, right? Much more like Call of Cthulhu or something, which is how I sort of initially conceived this system, because we have Psyche here, where the players are just trying to balance their scores and keep them as high as possible, but in order to actually have any agency in the world, they need to sacrifice their scores, or at least put them on the line, right? So so the idea today is to think about what that means for various aspects of my program, my JavaScript that sort of connects between the character sheets and my behind the screen stuff, and then to actually make it and see what it looks like. Yeah, so I'm just gonna make some notes here. David, are you still awake?
I am. I'm here.
That's good, because
I was about to grab a little bit of a drink. I'll be back quick.
Yeah, no worries.
While you get set up.
It's nice to have someone else here. I'm gonna get this layer. Right, so let me just. We're gonna take this actually and bring it over here. I'm gonna use that as a sort of a mental thing here. Right, so hit points. Yep. So the idea is, right, HP is like 3 times Constitution, right? And mana is, let's assume a wizard. So that would be 3 times Intelligence. Then what we're gonna do is just get rid of these. But then HP and mana have certain functions within the game that I then need to find other places for within the scores. So for example, so a fighter or a wizard, we're going for a wizard, with a Constitution score of 11, right, would then have a mana of if the Constitution is 11, then the HP would be 33. 3 times 11, 33. However, I'm going to move it to a system now where everyone in the game has a Constitution, obviously between 1 and 3d6 they roll, but then you have other cases where it's so really between 1 and 20, let's say, right, in the Constitution. And when you get down to 0, if somebody reduces your Constitution to 0, you effectively go unconscious. You're not dead. I think it'd be pretty harsh to just kill someone. So and 20 is the max limit. But then, okay, so hit points then become equal to Constitution score. And armor class, which more broadly defined is going to be your ability to repel attacks. I'm going to make that be the Constitution score plus a general thing I'm going to call effects. And effects can be a couple of things. So effects can be items that give you armor class, right? Or effects could be a potion that increases your Constitution or your armor class, etc. And the way that I do that is, well, I'll show in a bit once I sort of figure out what my first task's gonna be. And then mana is used to, you spend mana, so it costs, right? It's the costing index for spells and other sorts of skills. And so I want to have this new process where, say for example, your intelligence is 18, right? Smart guy. Intelligence is 18, and you want to cast, say, a fireball spell, right? Well, there would be, oh well, in order to do this I have to define damage, right? And I can do that simply because I already worked this out. So because everybody only gonna have 20, right? That means that damage die can only, should have a chance of, so for example, if you have a knife, right? And you're attacking someone with it, you want it to be able to maybe kill someone, cut a jugular or something, but you don't want it to be very possible, right? So you would have like a 1d20 for that, because there's a very small chance that you're actually going to kill someone. And then 2d10, right? That sort of increases the chance that you're going to kill someone because your minimum damage is going to be always 2. And then we're going to have sort of 3d8, so 8, that'd be 8, 16, 24, right? And then 4d6, 6, 12, 18, something, or maybe 3d6, so it might be 2d8. And then 4d4, 5d4. 5d4 is actually the damage for a very powerful weapon, because you're more likely going to do a lot of damage with that. So let's, for example, say that your regular fireball spell is going to do 2. We want it to be, it's an explosive thing that's probably going to kill someone but might not. So I would say 3d8, right? Well, let's start with 2d6, right? Damage. Now, when they cast a spell, I'm going to call for an intelligence score roll. And the way it works in my system is you roll a d20 and you have to get under. You roll a d20 and you have to get under 18. Because the higher your intelligence, the higher your score, the more likely it is that you're going to pass that roll if you have to get under it. So, so here it's pretty, so if you're an intelligence of 18 and you're a magic user, and your fireball does 2d6 damage, that means it's pretty likely that every time you're going to be able to cast that fireball spell. And it's pretty much par for the course at this point. So we're going to call this 1 over 1, and that'll become apparent because what you're doing is you're rolling under your score. But if you want to do double damage, right, 4d6, or maybe increase the area or whatever, then you could do that by rolling under half your score. But you declare that ahead of time because you as the caster are trying to do a more powerful spell. Yeah, you're trying to do a more powerful spell, and so the risk should be higher, but it's still tied to your ability, 18. So a caster with intelligence of 18 is going to have to get under a 9 in order to cast a really powerful fireball spell. A fireball spell that if your intelligence was, say, 9, right, you wouldn't really be able to do. You'd have to roll under a 4. And so what that means is that you'd have to be really lucky. And that reflects, I think, very well for the actual practice of magic using. You know, that it's a risky endeavor. You need a high score in order to pull it off and not do something wrong. And then here comes the inherent risk factor. If you fail these checks, you lose intelligence.
Interesting.
So you lose 1d4 intelligence, and that sort of represents the fact that magic can hurt you. But then, and so all of your actions have the risk of backfiring and you losing scores like that. But then at the end of a session or at the end of a checkpoint, I award out experience points. So I would say, okay, you defeated the witch who dwells at the bottom of the lake. So everybody gets 2d6 experience points. And then what they can do is roll that, get the number, let's say it comes out an 8, and they can add that to their scores. And my gambit is that they will always lose scores and then have to add them up. And sometimes they won't get a net plus, sometimes they won't get a net minus. But the main thing is that I have a way as a dungeon master to solve score inflation. Because I have a way now of dealing damage to people's hit points, but that doesn't actually affect score inflation within the sort of the mechanical system that I'm operating in. So
it's like, it's kind of reversing what you would consider like the standard level up system, almost, right? So I'm thinking of like video games I've played where, like, I'm just thinking Skyrim, for example, right? Where every time you shoot a bow, you get points, right? But,
I
but
see.
this is kind of taking it where it's like, if you shot a bow, right, and you miss someone with it, then you lose points, kind of.
Yeah, so you're talking about like an accretive system, XP system, where every time you do something, you get a little bit of XP. Yeah, and that, you know, that's standard. So in like in D&D, usually, you know, a certain monster has a difficulty which correlates with an amount of XP, and then you add all that up. But I like very simple, it may not seem it, but I like very simple mathematics and arithmetic within a session. And so I don't like how a goblin gives you 83 XP and you need 10,000 XP to level up, you know? That for me, that's never gonna fly. So, but in terms of losing, so how do you lose, points from the different scores? I'm going to just get a little screenshot here of the character sheet so I can come in and manipulate it. Copy that, and there we go. Okay, so we've got that there. I'm also going to get rid of all this stuff again. Okay, so you bring up a good question there, right? So how do you gain and lose all of these things? This is the important way to find balance in the system. I should mention that this is going to be a project that's probably going to take me about a month, I think, or no, I could maybe cram it in, but I don't really have the time. My deadline for this is 1st of November, because that's when I'm going to publish a blog post about it and sort of codify all these rules in a kind of hypertextual document. Very exciting. So how do you gain and lose? Well, we know how we gain, right? We gain scores, right? Through through XP and also items and also potions. But how do we lose the various things? So wisdom and intelligence, these are lost from wild magic i.e. failed skill checks. Okay. Constitution, that's now our hit points. Right, so that's lost from weapons. Yes, so basically damage, poisons, weapons, that sort of stuff. Let's see, strength and then dexterity. These, let's see, well, I think that you should lose these as a result of losing, so one thing to explain is how I'm going to, the fatigue, sorry, my fatigue system is a way that I can temporarily reduce people's scores. So, for example, the 14 here is because of plate mail, -5 to the actual score. So that's a way that I can have, like, you put the plate mail on, your dexterity is still 19 in this case, but the plate mail has its effect. And fatigue is a sort of temporary way that I can reduce all scores by a number equal to fatigue. So what I'm meaning is permanently losing strength and dexterity, right? Is that something? Because I want basically all of these scores to be in flux. So Psyche's an easy one, and maybe Charisma comes into that. So that is basically the risk involved there is gonna be social situations, the success or failure of social situations, failure of not just social situations, but, well, that's charisma explicitly, but psyche can also be like when you're faced with options, like, for example, the person you really care about has been taken into the cave, and you go up there with your grandfather's sword, and you're going to go in and defeat the monster, you know. I don't want to get too elaborate here, but I'm already compelled. And you're standing at the threshold to that cave, and you're like, okay, am I actually going to take a deep breath and go into this cave? And at that point, that's character versus player. The player is always going to be like, fuck yeah, I do. Yeah, let's go. But the character, you know, that's where you call for a psych check. And that's sort of like psych, and you have to get under your psych on a d20, and that might not come out as planned. And if you fail a psych check, right, there's going to be lasting psych damage. You'll lose 1d4 psych score, you know. If you go up onto stage and try to give a public performance and you roll a charisma check and it fails, right, that means that you're probably going to be embarrassed and upset, and so you might lose 1d4 charisma there. So there's all sorts of ways that charisma and psych can be lost, and I don't have a problem with that. One way that I thought about strength and dexterity is that if all damage actually is multiple, so for example, if somebody hits you with a sword, right? Somebody hits you with a sword. What if that sword does like 1d4 strength damage, 1d4 dex damage, and 1d4 constitution damage? Because, like, wounds are messy, right? And no two wounds are alike, and it's sort of reductive to just say, oh, sword hits you, you take this much HP damage. But what if actually there's a little bit of wiggle room here, where, you know, if a sword hits you and it sort of gets you in the right place, you might not be able to move around as much, you might be limping, or you might be unable to. I mean, Constitution is now also AC, right? So if we defined armor class as basically your general ability to respond to attacks, then you might take damage, Constitution damage, and then you might not be able to respond to further attacks as well. And strength damage, well, strength is your, that's going to be like your melee, so your ability to attack, your ability to, well, do strength-based stuff. And so if you're wounded, that's not going to be as easy for you to do, you know? So maybe like, so a sword might actually do damage for more than one score, right? Same with like an arrow. If you get shot with an arrow, you've got to think, not only does it make you bleed, but it makes you limp. Not only does it make you limp, but every time you try to like carry something heavy, right, you're going to feel that pain. So maybe there's a way that actually, what I'm interested in is how these mechanics can, in a simple and intuitive way, lay down the grammar for better storytelling, you know? Because if you lose 14 hit points, you have to do all of that labor, mental labor, to imagine the implications for the different parts of your body. But if the different types of damage are more articulated, then you're going to be able to sort of notice that as well.
Gotcha.
I mean, I think that
I'm like half understanding everything just because I'm not familiar with D&D completely, but I'm getting it. I'm getting it.
it's also a formal system, right, with internal sort of. So I think, you know, if you're a games guy and game design, then, you know, this should make sense and you should have some input. So I think that's, you know, I don't really feel like there's any. And then luck, how do you lose luck? What's to stop people maxing out luck, apart from having to put their points all the time into maintaining everything else, you know?
So how does luck function in D&D?
Well, you keep saying D&D. I would not call what I do D&D other than a cultural sense. However, the question.
So we're thinking in any kind of gamic system.
Yeah. So the way that luck works for me in my practice is anything that the players ask. So if they're in like a store and they're like, are there any steel boots for sale, or steel gauntlets? I would say roll a luck check. You know. If somebody's like, do I remember to dry my clothes before I go to sleep? I'd say, well, that might be a wisdom check, actually. But wherever there's a situation where the players ask me to, in a way, arbitrarily determine whether a fortunate event occurs, that signals to me it's time to roll a luck check.
Gotcha. Would you losing luck then be like failing a luck check?
Yeah, because I guess if the outcome is that you're unlucky, but then what is that makes claims then about fortune, right? That it accelerates, that there's now an acceleration or a deceleration to luck. Well, no, not an acceleration because you have XP, right? But if you fail a luck check and you lose luck, that would also be good to stop players pushing their luck, so to speak. Right? Because if they know there's a risk that they might fail and lose more luck, then that might mean that they're not going to ask for those kinds of things very often. Which is a good...
It's an interesting question because the way the system is usually set up is you can only grow, right? You can only, for most games it's you can only grow in your skills.
Yeah.
And so now you're thinking, and right, because that's been such a standard in games for so long, it's easier to just continue that standard. But now you're thinking, what does it mean to like? I mean, and it's very real, right? Because so many real as in like an experiential thing, right? Where people like lose their skills in a certain aspect, like they're not as good at an instrument anymore, right? Or because they haven't practiced in a long time or that kind of thing. So how do you gamify, for lack of a better term, right? The loss of skills or the loss of things. And what's interesting is that we're trying to put it on a system where that is like very different from the like what we would consider to be skills in quote unquote the real world, right? Like we don't really, at least in like the UK and the US, we don't really think of luck as a skill, right? Or luck as something that really happens.
Yeah.
And to conceptualize, how would we take our experience where we don't really have access to an idea that luck is a skill someone has, and then how do we gamify that? it's a very tricky question.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It is a tricky question, but these are the questions that really captivate me, because the great thing about it is you can set up these systems and then you can play a couple of sessions and see if it works or not, and what the social outcomes are, the unexpected outcomes. Okay, well, if I bring up... I'm going to bring up a character sheet, and actually I'm going to make a copy so that we can fool around. This is going to be experimental, and it's 4.5. The big 4.5. Okay. Let's make our character sheet. Let's go back to here. So what I want to do, so the different sites, this is another important thing, the different sites where I need to consider. So the way that my network is set up is I have my Dungeon Master sheet, and then what it does is it talks to the player character sheets, right? And they all interface with each other. And there's certain things I centralized everything. So inventory and that sort of stuff, I keep all that on my Dungeon Master screen here. And so for example, Inventorium, right? This gives us the character and then all of their items. And so I'm building all the time as we're playing a central compendium, which is good for exchanging things between character sheets, because one of the problems when this was decentralized was that player A, right, would want to give something to player B, but the problem is that this communication doesn't work as well, because this guy's an idiot, this guy's an idiot. They don't know how the sheets work. They don't have access to each other's sheets. And so it would just basically be me going into these sheets and having to go like that, you know? So now that it's centralized, the only thing I have to do is change the name here and then correlate that with the serial number. You could call this a serial number here. So just the blue columns, and then it works out. So the places that I have to sort of look at are the player's character sheets, but also the Dungeon Master sheet. And in particular, I mean, I'm only really... hit points come up in the Dungeon Master sheet for my encounter. So the place where I keep track of initiative and running encounters. It comes up with NPCs. And the good thing about it actually, David, is that I'm not adding new parts to the game. I'm actually refining my system and taking away elements, which hopefully will be easy. But it also means that, so for example, it's not just encounter, but it's also the script. I don't want it to be ghost scripting, doing things that are no longer necessary. So NPC generation and its script. And the player character sheet, we're going to want scores and skills, which is the main sheet, scores and skills, and also that script. But then I'm going to want to have a look at the switchboard, which is the switchboard doesn't have a script. It's just a place through which I route this process here. So if we go to the switchboard on the Dungeon Master one, basically anchors, because on the encounter page there's some data, but the rows change as I order them by initiative every round, so the numbers of the rows change. So what the switchboard does is it basically keeps track of those changing numbers but stores them in a stationary location. And because I know that stationary location, when I'm in the switchboard on this page, which is a mess, this is the closet. This is the proverbial closet I put all my stuff in when guests come over. But because I know the location, every character has a unique link row. So Sir Salison's is 18, and here if we go to row 18, you can see there's Sir Salison. And row 46, this changes because right now Sir Salison is on row 46, you see? But that changes every round because he rolls initiative. So because of that, I have to do all this jumping about and stuff. But what I want basically is to get rid of mana points and all this shit and replace it with, so every person here has their strength, intelligence, and stuff. And I also want to centralize that because right now these scores here are number values, right? And I want to basically turn these into values that come through the switchboard and are stored actually here, so that on my end I can say you take 2 strength damage and be able to change one of these numbers here. And then on their thing here, their strength will go down. And then what happens if we scroll down, we got this sort of field of agency here, and this would change as well. And actually I do want to revisit, because this is the skills part, and basically yeah, it'll pop up with things that people are able to do and stuff. But now I'm a little bit more, as I get better with JavaScript and with sheets functions, there are certain things I want to do. So when you get to a certain score, it might trigger, for example, so one of the things that I came up with my player was light armor, right? So light armor gives you armor class, but it does so without taking away as much dexterity as heavier armors. But the trade-off is that it doesn't give you as much armor class, right? But what I wanted was, if you're a ranger or a rogue and you're quite good, maybe you get more armor class out of light armor. So how would you make that automatic? Well, you would just have a formula for light armor in the inventory, where you have like the things that it gives. So this is an actual number here, but what you would want is a way for it to look at your dexterity score, and if it's quite high, to increase your armor class and stuff and all that sort of stuff. You know, we're getting to the point now where I'm able to sort of do that kind of thing. So I hope you're not regretting jumping on now, realizing that actually I'm just going to be...
It's interesting. It's very interesting. I'm just fascinated by how much work you've put into this. In a good way, not in a bad way.
Well, sometimes I tell myself, you know, you got to do something crazy or else you go mad, you know.
Yeah, I've seen your Twitter the past couple of days.
Yeah, well, I finally found my content niche, you know.
No, I totally get that. it really helps to have something creative to work on, when it feels like so much of what you have to do is kind of scripted for you.
Mm. Right, let's get to work. So I just got to choose some point in this nexus, basically, and just get to work. So first thing we're going to do is, like you were getting out of a house, we're just going to delete all this stuff to do with hit points and see where we're at. Let's see what's left. We don't need this anymore. If we go to magic, that's all going to change. We go to switchboard, HP and mana, don't need that anymore. Mana link, water link. We're going to have to change that to strength, dexterity and stuff. So let's just do that down here. Let's first of all standardize these. What we're going to need is, and I want to centralize fatigue as well. So we're going to take all of this and paste as values here. No, we're going to paste that as values here, and we're going to pop that up there. Hopefully that won't be an issue. That's going to come back and bite us. Okay, so what this is going to do then is we want it to, much like here with the HP link, so it's an import range function. Very powerful function in Google Sheets. What it allows us to do is literally import a range from any other spreadsheet we can get a URL to, and we can also tell them exactly where, but we can also build a dynamic reference. Oh, sorry, I need to move this guy down here. So if I can also zoom in, here we go. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. You read the formulas okay there, David?
Yep, I can see them.
Okay, cool. Good. So import range, we've got already all set up. And what it does is it does switchboard E and K5, which is our link row, which changes based on the player. And switchboard E, okay, so the irritating thing is in the switchboard, I need to make a new column for every value I want to bring over, and there's 10 values, right, that I want to bring over. So actually what I can do is, I'm just trying to think, I recently did something in inventory. Haha, so you see all of this stuff imports, these are actually empty, right? Well, not really, but they're all based on this formula, which you see imports a range, inventorium B to F, right? So in other words, if I go here, switchboard, so now this is the rabbit hole. So now we've started, we have to go over here basically, and we need to add in on the right, and we need to get rid of this filter first of all. We need another column here. We actually need another 10 columns. Or do we? No, we don't. All we need to do is, so let's just put in scores, right? Next thing we need to do, so we're following that trail all the way back to where it starts, and it starts here in encounter. So we're getting rid of hit points, hit max, mana points, mana max, because those are now things we don't want anymore. But actually I need to keep them for my games that I'm playing just now. So what we're just going to do is add in we're going to add in 10 to the left, and we're going to See what conditional formatting we got here. C1 to A1 to B1 C. What's M? Yeah, we're just gonna put M1 there. Okay, good, good. So then what we can do is we want to bring over these same headings, because this is now where they're gonna live. The original text values are gonna live right here, because this is the most convenient place for me to store them. Yep, I'm probably keep armor class for now. Yep. So we've got our things here, and maybe I want to do something a little bit aesthetic. Maybe a little bit like one of these. Be cool. And then for now, maybe give them a little different color. Maybe XLDM dark green. Like that. Okay. So so these are the numbers, right? And we want to just put in some defaults so that when we're doing stuff, we know that it's the values are coming through. And we're just gonna, you know, bring those down like that. So the idea is that instead of all of this other shit, all I want is these columns, and that's the game, basically. These numbers here. And you have to imagine that these will be replaced with the actual figures and stuff. So now that we have these, let's see, it runs from column C to K. So in Switchboard, where otherwise we just have these sorts of normal addresses, we're going to have instead another one that runs C through K. So if error, encounter address D2, so that's the row, 20, insert row, that's if error. So we got if D2, and 20 must be the character, because you have to put in the number character for the letter. So if T is, what number of the alphabet is T? See, A, B. T is the, well, we know that, sorry, I know that C is the third, right?
I think 20.
C, yeah, sorry, I knew because I asked the wrong question, you know, sorry. We know that C is the third letter of the alphabet, and we run from C to K, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So in our switchboard, we want to make an address that runs from encounter that, and we put an ampersand. Oh, American keyboard's gonna confuse me here. To 11, and then that should be our scores address. So now we have our scores address, and you see how, but is that how, if I just do this, right? No, you only put in the page number at the start. So all we have to do is take out this, like that. So that should now be good. So now actually if we go over to where we were before, and we have import range, blah 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 blah, and what column is this? L. What's gonna happen? Well, it's actually just gonna bring in that, right? Which is pretty fucking useless. So what we want to do is actually have a score link cell, right? So we're just going to take this and put that there, and then we're just going to call that score link, and then next to it we're going to have the same, But instead of going to switchboard L and K5, we can just put straight in this score, and we want to press F4 to anchor that, and voila, we have our scores.
Beautiful.
So now those are there, and so what we would want here then is, instead of our number, we put in switchboard strength B14, and then we scroll that along, and we want fatigue is going to be J14, right?
Matthew, I hate to leave you, but I have to be on a Zoom call at 3 o'clock.
And that's okay. Well, you came to the first leg. You see, we've accomplished something.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you for joining me here. I'm going to keep going.
It's always good to pick your brain about this stuff.
Cool.
Because I don't have too much game design experience, so this is always fun to look at.
Thank you, David. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Yes. Yes, soon. Hopefully this weekend sometime.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good. All right, cheerio.
Great.
Bye. Okay, so picking up from where we left off. So all of these numbers are going to be out of whack. But that's fine. We should probably give Sir Salison his actual scores back, since this is technically Sir Salison. All we need to do is over here, and we got these scores. Encounter, Sir Salison, and fatigue. And now over here, if we give it a second, here we go. Okay, good. So we got rid of all that shit. Good. So let's just continue. Let's return to our board here and think about what we've done. So go over here. Get rid of this column. That's a work in progress. Don't need that. Everything's a work in progress. Right. I guess I'm thinking. Well, I don't wanna. A lot of this is just me staring at the window. Let's okay, so some modifiers as well, right? What do the modifiers do? Well, it's for strength. That's your attack bonus. Dexterity, that's your minor actions. Or maybe just your actions that you can take on a turn. Wisdom modifier, intelligence modifier, constitution modifier. I still think that we should grab... Well, I guess you do have the spider chart here. You can't see the spider chart because of my face. You got the spider chart here. Let's turn to the spider chart. What's happened here? Search board U510. Search board. Yeah, what's going on here? Yeah, why has this happened? Player inventory, I11. Column. Player inventory. Is that... I don't know if that's so. What is player inventory? Oh, this here. Yeah, okay. Column 0. Why is this column 0? H11. Column link. Switchboard and K5, yeah? Switchboard K and K5. Yeah, so something's gone wrong. Good thing David left before this all went wrong. Yeah. Encounter T8. Oh. Oh my god. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I just need to add 9 to all of these. Oh, you can't see these. Right, so let's see if that works. Do that. And then if we go back to here, our column is now, come on, Q. And we have our inventory comes back. Inventory comes back and nope. House of Bloody Cards. Salison is Q. So it should work. Our test should be, that's not there either. There we go. Works now. Yeah. Switch that. Okay. Wanna just do that. Okay, so we've centralized the scores, which was the big thing, and we've gotten rid of hit points. Next thing I want to do is, I guess, can I delete these? It's experimental, I can always go back. I'm going to bring those right up. So we want the scores. The scores are now the numbers to watch. The scores are now the numbers to watch here, and that's good. Let's see if I can make use of my new tool. No, don't need to. Let's see. Right, so we've centralized that stuff. Got our modifiers. Let's do this. Let's shift this along. Or you know what? Let's do some naming. So we're going to rename this cell based on, we're going to call it strength mod. Right, we're going to rename this one dex mod. We're going to rename this one wisdom mod. Rename this one intelligence mod. Rename this one constitution mod. Rename this one charisma mod. I'm gonna rename this one psych mod. I'm gonna name this one luck mod. Hopefully that's gonna help. So the consume button, is that ever gonna work again since we centralized everything? No, that'll be done on my end. So we're gonna get rid of the consume button. Delete. We also don't need short rests, long rest, so we're just gonna get rid of those, and let's open up the script. Short rest function. We can keep it. We don't need to get rid of it. It seems like there's a lot of code here. I don't want to just blindly delete it. Bring this guy up. It's important. Yeah, so this stuff, basically what I want here, right, is I want so for example, melee bonus, weapon strength mod. So this sort of stuff is actually not very important. And so I want to move it further away down the sheet. Or get rid of it. Or put in one here, put this stuff. We don't actually need this here, do we? Let me just check and see if I do. Yeah, okay, so let's rename this strength, and we'll rename this dex. We'll rename this wisdom. Rename this intelligence. Rename this constitution. Rename this charisma. We'll rename this psych. Rename this luck. We'll rename this fatigue. Right. And then here, if we actually delete this row, right? And then here, wherever it says ref, we just put in strength. Dex. Wisdom. Intelligence. Constitution. Charisma. Psyche. And luck. There you go. Much simpler looking. Save some space. I also, maybe we could put this wallet into the inventory. Let's do that. Right, so instead we'll just put them in as individual items, as blah, blah, blah. So that means that we can actually take this stuff now and move over here. We can take this, so move that over there. We're going to want melee bonus. We're going to want yeah. So this is action. Right, action per round. Right, it says action bonus. So the number of attacks she can make, that kind of thing, every round. What else? XP, yeah. Oh, armor class. We're gonna put that there. So armor class is now gonna be Constitution plus. But do I want it to be? I want it to be the temp. I want it to be variable. So right now it's all of the armor class and the stuff they're holding or wearing for the first and second effects. Which means there's something in their inventory that's giving them armor class of 20. It's a plate mail. That should actually be 9 plus 11. So if the basic armor class is Constitution plus that, right? And then I just need to go into Dungeon Master here and look up metallic plate. This should actually be 11. Same. Hard to hit. So action bonus. Take the out of 10. Could be like a charisma thing. Because right now that is or maybe I should just be calling them the modifiers. Anyway, Maybe strength mod plus dex mod. I would always say it's a balance of the two. And then we want to add this stuff in. I'm going to write that down. How are we going to do potions? How are we going to do potions and temporary effects? Basically, we can take this, add that in here, holding or wearing, and I'm gonna want C8. We're gonna take that as well. Yeah, put. Oh, I got the B8 there. Okay, good. So basically, if there's stuff there, we're going to test that. If there's Salison's plate mail armor, now reduces attack, increases attack bonus by 13. Just give it a second. There you go. Good. But it's not. It's dexterity -5. Yes. The post. Nobody uses the post-it note. I don't need that either. Oh wait, no, because that just give a floating ant. Can't have that. Okay. Let's get rid of the post-it notes. Okay. And let's then make this that size and take action bonus and let's make it actions. And it's going to be +1. You can always take at least one action on your turn, right? And we're going to take looks and put that there. Good. Armor class, attack bonus, actions, looks, XP. Maybe centralize that as well. And then I want to take this and put it up here. And then do that. Like that. Oh wait, no, what we can do actually is, that's fine because you can do that if you wanted. But what I want is, I want to put 2 in again. So that people can have multiples, and also the same here. We don't really need these categories. But I also don't like merging. Merging creates issues. Merging always creates issues. There we go. Big number. bigger. Move that over here. Move this down here. Right, to that. Let's just merge them. L8 and L11. What's going on there? No, we want to take this. But these are going to be for different. Oh. Index R. Index R. Yeah. Ah, yeah, that's why. Row 1 NO PQ. NO PQ. Oh, we need spaces between them. Can't get used to this bloody American keyboard. And okay, good. So should be able to just do that now. Then we can have those three there. But let's move all those down by one. Then we can put oh wait, no, I can pop. Right. I'm gonna put this here. Fits perfect. And then we can put our pie here. Pie. Bingo. Okay. So that kind of looks cool. This looks kind of cool. Metallics isn't all it's cracked up to be. Okay. So far, so good. Okay, so of these to be the same size. Good. Aha! Okay. Check this out. Actually, divide that. Okay, and then what we're going to do is take this up there, take that and pop it there, put that there. Right, and then we're doing that. How many? Take that, do this, that. Make that white. I'm going to make this dark. Do the same with these. No, it's just... What if we do that? Yeah, because you want a nice bit of chunk of text for your spells. Right, so I think that's pretty much it. We're gonna have to go and change the effects of all the items and stuff to reflect this new system, and that's gonna be important thing to do. It's gonna be a very important thing to do. None of this matters. This matters. So here right, basically data validation from a range. That's going to be A to A. Right, so if we have here, there's Captain Delahaye. And now we're going to want index society. Through this. Match with that 0. And the thing we're matching is this. Why don't work? Ah, well these we can. Then we can put minus fatigue. No, because I want to be able to. I want to be able to. Huh. Yikers. I want to be able to do something like this. You know what I'm just gonna have to do? If I do that minus that. Do this. Right, and you see this. We're actually going to apply that all the way to K. But we need to put another one. A5. Sorry. A4 or A3. AB5. Yeah. AB5 is blank. AB3 is blank. And this should be like that. There we go. But instead of this, we're gonna put, I want a color scale. Oh, I can't do a conditional color scale. Okay, I know what I can do. AB3 is not empty. Then we want it to be and we want to move this up here. Huh, it's interesting. Yeah, look, it's fucking ridiculous. Ridiculous. Okay. Okay, so the reason I'm color coding these is because they're going to have two different formulas. This one here. Right, it's going to have this. I said this was going to take a month. I've pretty much done it in a day. Been thinking about this a lot. So now that should be good to just... Why has that happened? Haha, yeah, okay. Well, all I do there is I hit new. Right. I'm just gonna call it NPC Praetorian. Add. Encounter. But then I'm not going to be able to identify between them. Unless... So, they're all drawing from the same NPC based on this name, but they need to have some other way of identifying themselves, and I probably could just put in... When we make... it's all about where do I make these NPCs? Probably... So I need a third class of NPC, which is disposable, obviously. Which means I also need... I need a column at the end to identify between the three. Right, so type. So if then this is a player. Otherwise, if otherwise, we'll just call them grunts, right? For now, and we're going to put that. Right. Oh, well, this starts with no. How can I tell that I'm drawing upon it with a formula? So I got a formula here, and right. So we're definitely getting rid of hit points and stuff. So we can delete these columns. We can delete these columns, and also this shit. All this shit can go. I also got rid of the post-it notes, right? Get rid of that. And I want to move this over here. Armor class we can calculate here, because that is just... well, actually... so it'd be Constitution for now, right? We can just do that for now. But it would have to be like, if this, right? Because if this is not empty, then con. Otherwise, empty. And then put that down like that. We don't want that color scale anymore. And yeah. L99. Right, so first of all, if, once again, this equals blank, then blank otherwise. Okay, we just go all the way to Q with this now. And to this, to that. This. There we go. We're gonna get rid of. So. Let's get a new window up. Let's just get these numbers in. Before we lose them. The next character. And the next character. And the next party. The next party. Okay. Right, so we want to be able to tell between whether it's an NPC, a grunt, or what. So we need a checker cell basically. So if error then grunt. Am I using it? I don't think it's going to work. If A3 equals blank, then blank, otherwise, but O3 doesn't equal blank, then player, otherwise, right, if I need a formula. Formula, Google Sheets, conditional formatting, become. So I need a, no, data, what's it called? Data validation. Check. That's not what I want. Okay. Well, the other thing I could do is just have them in types. Yeah. Okay, well then, okay, so what I mean is shift to a system where all the hobgrungles go at once and they just have basic stats. And I can calculate that on the battlefield, no problem. So So it means I can get my NPCs up. Remember Caranto from last time? Captain Delahaye. Put an NPC Praetorian. Individual, we'll make one called NPC Hobgrungle. Oops. With individual, here we put monster, right? Let me say that that's a male Grongodor fighter. No, this is. I would say that they have a okay. So now our Hobgrungle it's monster now. But what I want to do is add another one equals right AB, which is N2 equals blank, yes, but we're going to nest that within an and also say that left A2 for MONSTE 7 equals monster, and then we're gonna have that be that. Please work. And that's gonna apply to A3 to P64. done. But we also want this to be three, and left 2 for 3 equals NPC. Oh wait, no, we don't want that actually. We just want 3 equals blank, right? But we just want to put that on top. Hey, okay, cool. So now we got our monsters showing up. Okay, so there we go. Cool. And why is that? 'Cause of that. Okay, cool. So now we've got a much neater situation here, and I can also change the scores of my players. That's good. That's looking good, guys. Okay, so we'll just see that this works still. Yeah, it's good. No, that's good, like. So the next thing to look at is also that we don't actually need here. We don't need these. Just leave that for now. Inventorium. Right, so let's start with weapons. Master. Right. So so what we need to do is decide. So over here, right, we've got our dice numbers and types. Okay, we've got our dice numbers and types. We've got 4, 8, 10, 12 and 20. And right, so and then we've got 1d12, 1d20. Don't really need that. 2d10. 4, 8, 12. And then yep, so basically these are my limits. So I want to do this programmatically, and I have actually a hidden sheet, I hope. Is it this one? Yes, it is. Good. Good. So here, we're working here. Got this whole fucking thing. Oh, and actually, if I, haha. Right, so the formula used to be x dy. Well, this is the material die. This is the size die. So all we need to do is just change this, I think. So we want maybe a modifier. Okay, good. So, so instead of size, or let's put in another one. Right. Damage. So dagger, 1d20. Curved knife, 1d20. Long sword. Longsword, for example, would be like 3d4. 4, 8, 12. So what we want to do here is have like, 1 second, go check that. So we need an alternative formula for this. So need an alternative formula for this. So it used to be x dy, where this is size and this is material. But I'm thinking now we have a situation where it's x dy plus z right, where we have so this could be relative to the character. Maybe. This could be the size. This could be a bonus for the material. How would I do that? Roll 1d12 damage. So it would be like that. Basically. Roll attack bonus times d12 damage. It's interesting. So this is right, the biggest determinant factor of damage should be attack. We'll just call it attack modifier. So the max, right, would be 3 and 3. It's important to know that. The limit. So this max would be 6. And then the size, small, medium, large weapons. So, for example, what would that look like if that was 4, 6? 8. Well, it means you'd either be rolling 6d4, 6d6, or 6d8. The maximum of that would be, well, 6 times 4, 24. It's 36. 6 times 8. 40. 48. Keeping in mind that a normal human, right, will have a hit point between, we'll have a constitution score between 6 to 20. So yeah, one successful hit is lethal. Yeah, so we go back to here, and in the 12, d12, here. So instead, that's going to be y is going to be size, right? Yeah, so that's going to be 4, 6, and 8. And the Metallicam stuff, that determines weight, but also an L here. Find dagger and match. Oh, can be. No. No. This should be B. Index. E. Huh? E. Right? Because here we're going to put D and something like that. And then that should, no. Match. Okay, so that's times d4. Roll attack bonus times d4 plus oh, there we go. d4 plus attack bonus times d4 plus, and then so and now index oh no. Okay, why is that not? Ah. Yeah, so what this does is it sort of this repositions damage on skill of I don't think the material dice is really doing anything here. This one. Yeah, so let's just run with it. Let's just see what happens. So what we got? We've got we sort that A to Z. Oh. Yeah, and then we sort this. A to Z. Oh, why has that happened? Because there's a formula here. There we go. If we did that, and I should just be able to lift this stuff. Over here and then to here. Yeah. So you might have a situation, for example, where like if you're rolling with a d4 plus 3, you're basically getting another damage dice. There. Maybe I could just keep these alive over here. Right, and just index them. Like that. I can take that out and add it in. Anyway, the point is I can just change it over here. Right, look. But I don't think the -1 does much. I think it only works to have Metallicum be basically +4. Unless it was a right. Because you want it to be like, if you're not as good at attacking, but you've got a good blade, it sort of balances out. Right, so okay, let's just I need to do something just to finish up. Need to make sure that everything's working. So don't actually need any of this. Right, don't actually need any of this anymore, I hope. So if we just delete that, and then an encounter column is now an O. So what's the A, B, C, D, E, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, 15. And then this one should be the same. So now if we go back to our experimental guy, hopefully these will be back. Hopefully. Column. Oh no, what's this? Oh well, we don't actually use that anymore, do we? Do we? Refresh this. I'm going to import from I11, the column, the H11, the column link, which is K5, which is the row. Sorry, it's K, but that's now, that is now E, and scores are F. Okay, so that should fix the column. Bring in these numbers, bring in the inventory. Okay, cool. Oh. Oh, that was a whole thing. The right, okay, so we're gonna get for now roll attack bonus Maybe they can choose between Constitution, Strength, and Dexterity. So it's like a pool of damage. Right. And that way you can sort of like because we were going to do that, weren't we? Strength, dexterity, constitution, damage, and fatigue. Right. So it's actually roll attack bonus, d6 damage, and distribute as how about that? Evenly. Is that how you spell evenly? Yeah. Right, we just want it for the experimental situation. Let's see what happens. Yeah. Four D8 plus 2. So 4, 8, 8, 16. So 32 plus 2, 34 divided by 3. Yeah. I just wish it would calculate that. Pardon me. Yeah, we still got a plus 2 here. That's no good. Oh, yeah. Hmm. get the script editor open. Let's find. Right, that should be good so that I can put in here number. Right, now if I burn and turn, it should still work. There's M here. Should be N. Right, good. Oh. Oh. Come on. Why? No. Okay, I'm just gonna have to record a macro. Save. Save. Tools, macros. Manage macros. Edit script. Yeah. Oh. Alright guys, that's the end. Hopefully this is just gonna work and then I can just finish. Oh, I know what's wrong in here. Come on. Yes. And then look, I can have my little number as well. How about that? Okay, well, this has been XLDM. I'm leaving this up in the air for next time.